Hello, Tori.
Hello, hello.
Hi, so good to see you. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, perfect. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the final call of the Blissful Birth Awakening. I cannot believe that we have already completed 5 days. It has been such a wonderful journey, and everyone who's tuned in live and watched their replays, thank you so much for investing in yourself and investing in this mission of raising up mothers and really empowering us to birth ourselves into motherhood. It's so beautiful and it's been so wonderful. Hello, Meg. Welcome. So today we have Victoria Weber, and I'm so excited because Tori was actually my postpartum doula for my second birth. And oh my gosh, I cannot even believe how life-changing her care was. If you've heard a little bit about my story, you know the first birth I had extreme postpartum depletion and postpartum OCD, intrusive thoughts, all kinds of really severe mood issues. And I didn't know even the basics of postpartum care at that time. And Tori came in for my second birth and just I mean, I still use the recipes that she made for me, and my kids love them. So I'm really excited she's here to share her wisdom with you today. This is postpartum care, something that needs to be talked about over and over and over again. We need to be educated, our partners need to be educated, our communities need to be educated so that we can have well-nourished and resourced mothers. So Tori is going to be sharing her story and some of her beautiful wisdom over the last, I don't even know how many years, Tori. How many years have you been doing this?
Well, it was all born with the birth of my first child. And I love telling this story because it really, with every single birth that a woman has, we are transformed. Birth is a portal. Pregnancy is a portal. It is this cocoon, and then we come out and we are reborn every single time. And usually that first birth is a huge initiation, and it definitely was for me as well. Um, so I had just moved to Kansas City and I was 6 months pregnant. And I was born at home, and my mother was born at home. My grandmother was born at home. We're all like breastfeeding hippies. And so I too was going to birth my babies at home. And that the plan doesn't always work out exactly as you imagine it to be. And I had a full week of prodromal labor. And then I had 52 hours of active labor, and I was stuck at a 7 for over 24 hours. And until my midwives basically begged me to go to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I can do it. I can keep going. But I did. I needed to go. And thank goodness for allopathic medicine when you need it. But it was still a big shock to me. Once I went to the hospital, my midwife team went home to go get some much needed rest. And I was put on an epidural. And the plan was for me to get a little bit of rest and then to try for a vaginal birth. 2 hours later, I wake up, I have a fever, there's meconium, and they're like, we need to do a C-section. And then my entire birth team was gone. And so it was just me and my husband, and I had a C-section that I had zero plans for. I did not even pack a hospital bag. I didn't even know that a doula was an option. I kind of just thought my midwives would take over that role. But here I am alone in the process. And I had planned a lot for my pregnancy and for my birth, and kind of thought that postpartum would come secondhand. And really, I had a beautiful postpartum experience. My mother came and stayed with me for 2 weeks. My husband had 2 weeks off of work. They fed me, they took care of me, but it's still just a massive transformation from woman into mother. And so I was just blown away by like, wow, we have such little support in our culture for taking care of women during such a vulnerable time. And there was a huge amount of grief that I was dealing with for not having the birth that I had expected to have. And I think some like ancient wounds of not keeping up my family lineage or, just some BS that I was carrying on my shoulders and my heart. Anyways, I very quickly realized that I wanted to create a business that was supportive of mothers. And my background was always in holistic food and nourishment and restaurants, really. And I wanted to bring nourishment into the homes of mothers. And I was trying to find my community because I just moved to Kansas City. And I found Home Holistic, which is a wellness center where I met Leah, and I found my home there. I found my community there. And I kind of joke that I don't know anybody in Kansas City who hasn't passed through Home Holistic at some time or another. I became a doula. I took the prenatal yoga training. And then from there, it just kind of spiraled. I ended up the little weekend training to become a doula is not quite enough to support women. You've got to add some more tools to your tool belt. And so I took an Ayurvedic doula training. I took a holistic nutrition training for fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and babies, and craniosacral. Gosh, the list goes on. So that started 9 years ago. And here I am today with and just continuing to support mothers. It really led me into my life's work. I did end up having a home birth 3 years later with my second son. That was incredibly healing. And immediately after that birth, I was like, whoa, like what was all of that grief about? Like, why? I don't know. It was healing, but also the realization that I had thought less of myself for some reason for having a C-section the first time around. It was like dissolved. I'm like, why did that matter so much? I'm still not really sure. But so grateful for both of those different experiences because it gives me the perspective to support mothers in many different ways.
Yeah, I love that so much. It's true. Like I've met a lot of women whose birth plans didn't go quite the way that they expected. And it's so important to just honor that every birth is sacred and every birth is special no matter what. And I really feel that grief is part of the process for any birth because truly your body is different. It changes, your identity completely changes. You're never the same. You're forever postpartum. And it's just part of the experience of this journey into matrescence and becoming the mother is honoring what we left behind.
Yeah, and birth is really about releasing control and the surrender. And
Yeah.
the
I was just
birth
talking
plan
about
is
that.
important. It helps give us a little bit of some guidance, but it's also important to completely release to whatever the universe is trying to unwind for us.
I know. And such is life too. I was just saying earlier on the call today that, you know, learning what you can and can't control is an art and a wisdom. And you learning to surrender is one of the only things you can control. And it's essential in motherhood and parenthood too, because you can't control who your kid is or what choices they're going to make. And that becomes really clear when they get older. Like yours are a little bit older than mine. So you're really starting to work on, okay, you've got free will. And like, it's just
I
interesting.
mean, there's a huge change. The 9 year change is massive, and I basically have a teenager now. So
Oh my gosh.
fun.
Wild.
New era. But yeah, my work really niched into Ayurvedic care because our culture really has lost some of these like traditional rituals that our bodies still crave and need. And there's so much wisdom in Ayurveda. And Ayurveda, just to in simple terms, just means the science of life. And it's a age-old medicine that is mirroring our body with the environment, with the seasons, with foods, and our bodies are a direct reflection to our environment. Take it as like our fertility, the soil of our fertility is mirroring the fertility of the earth. And this is a big passion of mine, is that our Earth's fertile soil is depleted. And unfortunately, that is a huge gap in our health as humans right now. And we've got a lot of work to do to reinvigorate our fertility in women. Whether you're having babies or not, our fertility is a vital sign. And so that's a big piece of my work outside of the perinatal space. But there are things that we can do with Ayurveda to increase our vitality. So eating foods that are in season is a really simple one. And that each stage of fertility, pregnancy, postpartum mimic a different stage in Ayurveda. So there's 3 doshas. There's Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And the Kapha stage is really earthy and grounded. Pitta is fiery, and Vata is like air and space and creativity. And when we're in our pregnancy stage, we've got a lot of that fire. Like we're literally creating life out of our body. We're hot. We're driven. We're going to yoga and we're doing all the things. Um, and it's a very creative time. A lot of ideas come during that time. And then in postpartum, we have the Vata stage, which we've had this big fire within our bellies. And now all of a sudden, baby's outside of the body, and our body is like, has a lot of empty space to it. Organs are kind of moving around, and maybe our brain is feeling a little light and airy, and we can't really like think all that well. Again, there's a lot of creativity during that time. And so if we're feeling like a lot of Vata, especially if we're a Vata person normally outside of postpartum specifically, we're going to feel that more intensely. So if we're prone to anxiety, we're going to feel more of that anxiety during postpartum. So now we want to create balance through food, through massage and body work, through movement. All of these different capacities are Ayurveda. So like movement is Ayurveda, food is Ayurveda, herbs are Ayurveda. Like it all has something to do with balancing the dosha, if that makes sense. So I'd love to just kind of go through each stage and talk a little bit about like what you can do to help balance out each one of those times. So
Beautiful. Love it.
infertility, what's that?
I said, love it.
Okay. Infertility, this is a really beautiful time for conscious conception. And we don't all get the opportunity to have conscious conception, but when we do, and also Ayurveda stems from the Indian culture, and so a lot of times there will be like meditation before conception and things like that, and it has an energetic impact into that soul. So beautiful. And so during this time, so if you're working on your fertility, whether you're trying to conceive or not, again, just for that vitality, you're going to be focusing on really nourishing, cleansing foods, but not focused on dieting. We're not in a like restrictive culture here. We're trying to create ojas, which means vitality. So we're creating that inner fire. Sometimes we just lose it, especially like in this day and age. We're like, we've got too much going on. We've got a lot of stress. working a job, we're raising kids, we've got things so much, too much. So we're trying to cleanse, nourish, and create vitality. So some things to eat would be like gentle detoxing foods. So warm khichdi is a beautiful meal that I also offer in postpartum as the first foods. So khichdi is a really warm porridge made with rice and mung dal or lentils with root vegetables and a ton of warming spices like turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, cumin, coriander. And all of these are really nourishing to the digestive system so that our body can feel nourished, but also not concentrate on digestion and concentrate on other things like healing. Um, some foods that really help with supporting the reproductive organs are ghee, which is just clarified butter, dates, sesame, almonds, saffron, mung dal, which is a type of bean, and seasonal fruits. And it's really important to eat things seasonally and things that are grown locally around you. So, a few herbs that are popular in Ayurveda that are beneficial during fertility, preconception, shatavari, which is it's really deeply nourishing for the female reproductive health system and promotes fertility. Ashwagandha, which is also helpful in postpartum, it supports your stress response and it helps strengthen vitality for both parents. Maca is another one that is really good for male libido. And then Triphala, which is a gentle daily detox and a digestive support. So you may have heard the term that your the gut brain connection and the quality of your gut health is directly linked to the quality of your mental health. And so we really want to like ground, slow down, align with your cycles. The menstrual cycle is another vital sign. So whenever I'm working with clients, I'm always asking all the questions like what's your bleed like every month? How are you pooping? How are you sleeping? How are you moving? Like all of these questions are so important and we don't get asked them by our conventional doctors. But tells us so much information. It's like a report card every single month. Yeah, that's mostly with fertility. Now, when we move into pregnancy, the state of consciousness like immediately changes and we might not be eating the same foods. We might feel rejection towards certain foods. And it's important to listen to our bodies, but because our bodies are so wise, but also knowing that you need to get the right nutrients. So smoothies are often a really easy way to get in the nourishment. You don't want them to be too cold because it actually can create more fire within you to bring in cold foods into the body. And everything that you experience in pregnancy is going to have an imprint on your child. So that is like a huge responsibility. And I try to emphasize that you shouldn't feel pressure from that, but it is a big responsibility. And it doesn't mean that you can't like have a burger if you are craving a burger. But do notice that if you're driving by fast food and you're craving a burger, it's probably because you need more protein and more healthy fats in your diet. If you're craving chocolate like crazy or ice cream, you might need more magnesium and calcium. So these are the things that I work with clients all the time on like, what are the foods that your body is actually craving? And let's nourish yourself really deeply there so that you aren't going to the easy button that maybe isn't so healthy. So you're in your pregnancy, you're in your pitta stage, and you're really cultivating like this inner fire with a lot of creative and manifestation energy. And sometimes it's like, be careful what you wish for because you have such powerful manifestation. So it's really a great time to journal and reflect on the things that you want to do outside of pregnancy and just kind of sit and wait. The key principle here is like what nourishes the mother is also nourishing the baby. And just really focusing on the whole real natural foods and things that feel invigorating and delicious and like what's the word I'm thinking for? Decadent. Like allow yourself to eat beautiful decadent foods during your pregnancy. But also like sometimes it's really nice to keep things very simple. Um, our bodies aren't necessarily meant to have all these like fancy sauces and things that are mixed and processed, and just eating foods that are a little bit more simple, like rice cooked in bone broth, roast chicken, um, scrambled eggs. These types of things are a little bit more palatable when they're prepared simply. You really want to emphasize in pregnancy warmth, oil, rest, and emotional stability. So keeping like a sacred little bubble around your body as you're growing this baby into a new world. Like it's okay to say no to things, to an event, to going to something or putting yourself in a place. Say good, like no to the meeting or the out of town excursion. You can like allow yourself to do that because you're doing a lot of work, and you're a protector, your mother. Warm oil massage. So oil is huge in Ayurveda. It's basically, it's kind of like once you're a mom, there's a saying that like breast milk fixes everything. Like, oh, like you got an owie, squirt some breast milk on it.
Yeah.
Well, you can also with oil in Ayurveda is like sesame oil fixes everything. If you're pregnant in the summertime, using coconut oil is really soothing and cooling to the skin. So that can be really nice. But sesame oil is a little bit better for all the other seasons. And sesame oil has a similar pH to the skin. It just soaks in, and your body is just like thirsty for it. It can be infused with Ayurvedic herbs. You can even buy specific Ayurvedic oils. I see it all the time at natural grocers or even Amazon. The brand Banyan Botanicals has really beautiful oils. They have daily massage oil, and then they have some, if you know what your dosha is, if you're a vata, pitta, or kapha, you can get that oil and it helps to balance. I'm a pitta. You can see in my skin, I'm like red right now. I've got a lot of fire. I bet you are a pitta as well, Leah. And so like coconut oil is a little bit better for us, and the cooling foods like cucumber and melon and things like that. Um, so I like to do a lot of Abhyanga for my clients. And so I'll do head to toe Abhyanga in pregnancy, but it's even more important in postpartum. I like to oil my hair up all first, and then I go to the feet and go all the way up towards the heart, and then the arms to the heart, and then do lots of belly. And that helps keep our vitality intact.
Is that
It
like
also helps with things
massage?
like it's a massage, yeah.
Okay.
And so Abhyanga typically is like around the joints, you're doing circular movements, and then
Okay.
along the longer bones, you're coming up. And then you come to a joint and you're doing circular movements. And it can be 20 minutes long or it can be 2 minutes long. But just doing like a quick little oil. Typically they or traditionally You would do it before you shower, and then you don't use soap. You oil yourself up, and then you hop in the shower, and the oil is like pulling any dirt or toxins out of your body, and then it just rinses off in the shower.
Cool.
Yeah,
It
it's
sounds good. It
it's
sounds like you could have some abhyanga and then conceive your baby. Like you have your partner.
I
That makes
like
me sad.
that. Abhyanga in every stage. Yes. Yeah, partner Abhyanga can be really sexy and
Yeah.
really beautiful as part of that conscious conception. I love that. Some things that you can infuse in your oils is shatavari, Brahmi oil is another one, and you can get Brahmi oil directly from Banyan Botanicals. And then I always recommend raspberry leaf and nettles, and that's pretty well known now in the midwifery world at the very least, to do red raspberry leaf in your pregnancy. But nettle, for a long, long time, this has just recently changed, but my business was called Nettle and Honey. And it was kind of based on like the sting and the sweet of motherhood, because it's hard and it's really sweet. Stinging nettle is really nourishing in so many ways. It has a lot of great minerals. It's great for your blood, and it is great for toning the uterus. Um, let's see. The other thing I just recommend in pregnancy is creating your village, which I'm sure you've talked a lot about this week. But if you are wanting an Ayurvedic experience is in your birth or in your postpartum, which is when I see it the most, is when people are really craving the first 40 days is more of traditional Chinese medicine, but it brought forth um, the knowledge of traditional medicine in postpartum. And so people are reaching out to get this like postpartum Ayurvedic experience. But if you don't have your village set up, you're not going to get it. And you can't do it all on your own, because your job as a new mom is to lay in bed and learn your baby, learn breastfeeding, whether you've done it once or twice or four times. Every single time you're relearning yourself because you just birthed a new version of yourself. And so your job is to lay in bed, and all of your meals should come right to your bedside, and sometimes even spoon feeding right into your mouth. So what I like to do is have some meals that are prepared in the fridge, in the freezer, and even better if they're made fresh. You just have a list of certain meals that you want with recipes. By the way, I do this with Marma, where you can just say, here, mother-in-law, here's the list with the recipe of the food that I want, or hand it to your meal train of
Yeah.
the fresh cooked khichdi and the fresh cooked kanji and all the foods that you really need to sustain yourself in postpartum. Ayurveda calls postpartum the sacred window. And in every culture, it's a little bit different. In Ayurveda, it's 42 days. In Chinese medicine, it's 40 days. In, I think, Korea, it's 100 days, which really you need more than 40 days, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
But this is like the initial time where if you are truly horizontal in bed, resting, eating nourishing foods, getting rubbed down in warm oil every day, and resting as much as you can, then at the end of those 42 days, you're probably feeling ready to get out of bed and get back into your new normal of life. Whereas if you're a week in and you're like, actually, I feel pretty good. Like, let's go to the zoo. Um, there,
No.
no, that happens a lot. And then 6 weeks down the line, you're feeling depleted again. There's a, so the first 40 days of postpartum actually mimics the next 40 years of your life and the experience that you're going to have when you go through perimenopause. So, if you can think back to your postpartum, ideally, we are really nourishing that postpartum period so that that is mimicked also in your perimenopause, because these like intense times of hormonal shifts, if we already our body has learned that we use this time to nourish and pamper ourselves, then that's what it's going to know during the next transition. Don't be afraid, because I also like I'm going to have some work to do, and I'm like really going through the thick of perimenopause, but we can heal that through our next experience. So we can think about like, what are the things we wish we had done? What are the things that we know that we could do better? What are the pieces of our village that we need to set up to make sure that we are supported during perimenopause? And so I'm starting to mentally tick that up, and I'm helping clients through it all the time. So like doing that daily oiling and taking the time to rest and not just pushing through, and getting those meals, the nourishing meals set up, and not just breaking down and ordering a pizza, which is, let's be honest, that's okay too to do sometimes. But um, I'm going on a tree here, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah, you're speaking to me because I'm in the thick of perimenopause right now. At least I think. I mean, how do you even know? Because everything's always cycling. Our hormones are always cycling. But I really appreciate you drawing together the postpartum experience with the perimenopause. Because I feel like sometimes I'm losing my mind, like cannot stop the thinking. And um you're right. I when I've taken the Ayurveda quizzes, I've been Vata, and very closely behind is Pitta every
mhm.
time. And that Vata imbalance postpartum is really being mimicked right now. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get me some coconut oil, start lathering my body up.
Yeah, and for the Vata, you want to have more grounding foods, so lots of root vegetables, and then so like beets and sweet potato and bone broth and grains, ancient grains, things like that. Um, and not as many raw foods. Those will feel a little bit more airy.
And that's true for postpartum too. You don't want to be eating all salads every day or anything.
No, ideally, especially for that, like if you can like really stick to that, like 42 days, like you can make it 42 days without a salad. And and really you're gonna feel way better. A salad might sound good, or a smoothie even, like, oh, a nice cold smoothie, but the way that it passes through your body is like, whoa, that was kind of shocking. And it will create gas, it'll create just digestional discomfort. And that
Yeah.
can also lead to breastfeeding stuff too, especially like you really want to keep the body warm. And the more that your body is warm, the better your milk is going to flow as well.
Yeah, that makes sense because I mean, all of those nutrients are going to go to the baby. So it's very depleting if you're not nourishing yourself for sure.
Yeah. And really it's like you want to give yourself grace at the same time, because what I find is sometimes it's like just a matter of eating and drinking enough. And we don't have to be so hyper fit focused on like, no, I can only have kitchery. Like, no, you really like there are other things that you can eat that are still really nourishing. We don't want to be like anxious about food. We just want to be prepared with the foods that are good for us, and have a list of all the nourishing foods that you can keep stocked in your pantry and in your refrigerator. Have foods that have been prepared stocked in your freezer, so that you ideally, and then also have a meal train of people that are bringing you healthy foods. People love to make lasagna and brownies for new moms, and it's just not the best. Um, it's not the worst, but we it's not the best on digestion, I will say.
Yeah.
Bunch of
Yeah.
gluten and dairy.
I know. I know. You're right about that. I mean, I remember when you came over and you prepped meals for me. These are the things that, like, I will never forget the taste of the overnight oats. They were so good. I still make those for my kids. I put them in little mason jars, and then we'll get like local berries from the farmer's market. And knock on wood, none of us have been sick in like a year and a half since we moved out here and started eating from the farmer's market. Um, so I remember the overnight oats, and then you made me like an egg casserole, and you made me muffins. Or I think you told me how to make the casserole, and I made the casserole, and then you made muffins. And every time I breastfed, someone new, they would bring me a muffin and egg casserole. And like at 2 a.m., I would go and if I was the only one awake, I would pull them, put them on a plate, pop them in the microwave, and I would eat. And I got into a routine of like every time I breastfed, I had like a full water and one of those little snacks. And I was eating a lot of small meals that were really warm and nutrient dense. And I had such a different experience the second time. I mean, I remember the first time I had a challenge with breastfeeding, and I was like feeding like every hour and a half. It was so exhausting. And I remember being just starving while I'm holding the baby, and like don't want to wake him up because he'd scream. And my
And you feel
husband's
trapped.
asleep. I was so trapped. Yeah. And like the second time around, it was COVID lockdown. My mom had visited from Texas, and we were in Kansas, and she came for a visit, and then the lockdown happened, and she stayed for 2 years. So how cool is that?
There's
I
some
know.
blessings there, right?
I know. I know. So yeah, it was just a night and day difference. And then even just like being around you and feeling emotionally safe, like I can remember the first time, like I didn't tell anybody I was struggling with my first birth, and like I didn't use that vulnerability or that honesty to ask for support. And like I remember you came over and you taught my husband how to wear the baby, and like it was just like so different to have that. It was a small village because it was like these things were happening, but um it was still just so amazing and blissful and needed. I needed it so much.
Yeah, there's something so nurturing about just having like a presence there. Like, okay, everything's okay. Like, there have been every time I have a client, it differs. Their needs are different, their families are different. Some people want like all the food. Some people are like, will you just help me with the like mountain of laundry? I'm like, sure, let's sit and chat and do that. And some people just want me to sit and chat and like maybe rub their feet and like tell them everything's okay and like let them have a cry and like um most of the time it's like all of the things. We'll do a little bit of everything, make sure that
Yeah.
she's well nourished and eating and drinking and her questions are getting answered um and she's sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what else? Is there anything else that you feel called to share before we start wrapping up?
I mean, I could literally talk for days and weeks and years on all of this, but you can connect with me and learn more about what I do. I have a company called Marma, and we focus on nutrition for really lots of different stages for fertility, pregnancy, postpartum, and perimenopause. And it involves like video calls and direct text messaging so that if you're pregnant and you're at the grocery store and you're like, I know I need zinc, but like I'm looking at these two different bottles and they're two different kinds. Like what do I need? Like you just send a message and I'll say, yeah, send me a picture and I'll let you know which one. Or like you need help with recipes. We have hundreds of recipes on our website and that's what I do day in and day out is I'm either with someone physically massaging her butt or I am talking to a mom. Like in Germany, we've got like a bunch of like a really beautiful community in Germany, Australia, all over the United States, Canada.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
I love that. And Meg asked in the chat, do you have any favorite companies for herbal supplements?
Yeah, mountain rose herbs is really great. And then Banyan botanicals. They have, so if you're looking specifically for Ayurveda, Banyan is the best one. And you can find like ashwagandha and teas, tinctures, all of these and oils. They have just a plethora. Um, a lot of those things I also have listed. So through Marma, we have an online dispensary through FullScript, and so you can reach out and I can send you direct recommendations. So if you're looking for a particular supplement or a particular herb, or you have questions on doing something with a particular herb, I can say, here's the one to get, and here's how you get it, and just go straight to your inbox. It's really easy. But I would say for like teas and herbs, probably Mountain Rose is the best. But for more herbs and Ayurvedic specifically, Banyan, that's Banyan, botanicals.
Awesome. And if someone wanted to reach out and like receive more from you, what's the best way
Yeah.
for them to get to you?
I'm most active on Instagram, so our handle is at Marma Health. Or I also have the.victoria.weber is my personal. And then you can come to our website and take a look at Marma through marmahealth.com.
Marmahealth.com. Awesome. And I will link all of that to the replay portal too, so that people can find it.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I'm so glad that you came. I've just been intrigued by Ayurveda for a long time. And this is just like the ancient wisdom of the body and balancing the body. And I love how you describe that we mirror nature. And it's like, yes, of course. Like, of course we do. So thank you so much, Tori. I am so honored to get to close out this event with our call. It's so nice to see you and to see everything that you've been doing in the world in the last 7 years since I had my first child and met you. And you guys changed my life. I mean, I'm a doula now. I've done postpartum doula work. I've done birth work. I'm like a spiritual counselor, like all specializing in motherhood. And I truly, without you guys, I wouldn't have even known that was a thing. So thank you so much.
Amazing.
Yeah, I
Where are
love
you
it.
based now?
So I'm in La Grande, Oregon. It's the northeast part of Oregon. It's on the dry side. And I'm in a little mountain town of like 15,000 people.
Cool.
It's cold and it's beautiful and I love it so much. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Have
So,
to
okay.
come visit you.
I know. I would love that so much. You could bring the boys. I've got two boys too. They're feral and wild and so much fun.
Perfect. So are mine.
I know. I love it. Um, so as we're closing out on this event again, I just want you to remember to take the time to honor your journey. Take the time to tune into your body and care for your body. Tori has given us beautiful tips for that today, and there are tips for that interspersed throughout the entire event. The Intuitive Birth Codes 10-week program, you are receiving the very first invitation to this. This is something that I've birthed out of 7 years of motherhood and my own journey into the dissolving of my identity and all of the things spiritual that we need in order to feel truly supported and rooted in our motherhood journey. So if you want to explore that program, we're starting in November. There is a link to book a 30-minute intro call with me, and that's coming out in the follow-up email. You will also have the replays to all of these calls up until October 20th. So go in. If you're going to binge content, this is some of the best content you can possibly binge because it's going to support your entire spiritual system, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. So again, thank you so much. Make sure you stay connected with me on Instagram at the.connected.birth, and then reach out to Tori too and go start exploring some of those meal prep options and some of this nutritional wisdom that she's giving. It's so foundational and so important. So thank you all. Thank you, Tori. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.